Joining us now is former U.S. Navy commander and former FBI special agent Richard Kolko. Thank you for joining us this morning as well. Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson just said that this blockade really makes no sense. Does the blockade make sense to you?
Well, the blockade is obviously a decision of the president, Secretary of War, and other members of the cabinet. But the Navy can carry that out, and that's what I think the important issue is. If that order is given, the ability to stop ships, stop shipping from coming and transiting the Strait of Hormuz is well within their capabilities.
The strait, we know, is just 21 miles wide at its narrowest point and is filled with mines and also within striking distance of Iranian missiles and drones. So how does a blockade like this actually work, and how risky is this?
Well, a blockade is something the Navy can do. First, it has to be announced through the shipping industry so they know what the lines that they can travel to and from. And then there are very many methods that the U.S. Navy does this. Starts by making a radio call. Hey, ship, you're not allowed to go there. They can do warning shots. If they can board and search the vessel, they can disable the vessel by shooting out the rudder. They can escort it into a different port. So as far as carrying out the logistics of the blockade, the U.S. Navy can do that. And as you said, this is interesting. I mean, the Straits is about 20 miles, 21 miles wide. The shipping channel is only about 2 miles wide. So Iran is certainly, we've heard that their military is decimated, and it looks like they've taken a severe hit in their Navy, their Air Force, communication, leadership. So getting those orders to the troops that may carry out some of that issues for Iran, that's going to be difficult. But because of the size of the strait, they can literally do that from the shore. Using those mines via speedboat, artillery, shoulder-fired missiles, even the area is so small, and of course, those drones, which just keep coming.
And we just heard from President Trump on the ceasefire talks. I wanted to play this moment, and we'll talk on the other side.
Well, they reacted, it was very interesting. It started off weak. They came in like they had the cards, but they don't have the cards. They have one thing that they can do. They can say, well, gee, we're going to put a mine someplace just a mine. We'll drop 1 mine, 2 mines, 10 mines.
And it was interesting, he called the talks intense, and then he also said that towards the end, they got more friendly. So how do you think the U.S. and Iran pick up these talks again? The president saying that they'll be back, he thinks. But what do you think Iran's next move is here?
I think Iran has very limited capabilities. The Defense Department of War has certainly done their job and stopped the ability of Iran to carry out a significant return battle. So Iran's going to be forced back to the table. I'll leave the politics to the politicians, but the U.S. forces in place, having now a couple days off to rearm, adjust, and get ready for additional kinetic action if that is what is ordered. Certainly, we know that's not going to be an issue. They're able to accomplish that, but it's a difficult time. But the important thing is that there is time. Nobody's shooting right now, and they want to make sure that that stops. I think from the U.S. perspective, that's very important, and I'm sure from Iran's perspective, they want no more shooting as well.
And I'm sure a big question for people at home right now, with the talks really falling apart right now, we don't know where they're going to go next. The president focusing on the strait, but he could return to some military strikes potentially soon. What does this mean for the potential of U.S. boots on the ground, and for how long, if that does happen?
Well, I want to just back up one thing on the talks falling apart. We got to remember it was only 1 day of talks. I mean, these things typically can take significantly longer. So the fact that they're talking, I know they're not today, but if there's an opportunity to keep talking, that's good news. Talking means nobody's shooting. But U.S. boots on the ground, I mean, there's several different targets that the U.S., that our leadership would have to decide is most important. Well, there's Cargo Island to stop any other oil shipments from going out. Whether anything I don't think they're going to want to go into any cities or anything like that, because then you're talking about huge numbers, but anything they would need to do on the coastline there to help keep the Strait of Hormuz open. So, but that would be limited. The Marine Corps expeditionary units are in theater there. They're available. They can be there in a moment's notice. We know that some of the, I think 82nd or 101st is also in the area. So the U.S. military has the troops and experience, and they can do what needs to be done. But yes, it changes the tone of things if they're face-to-face with the Iranian military, and yes, it would raise the casualty rate for the U.S.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That these two are even coming to the table at all is incredibly rare, and that these talks generally take much longer. I know a lot of people were watching them yesterday and overnight, hoping for some resolution, but this could take some time. But we do know also that the U.S. has been trying to get this deal for quite a while, and then they had to go towards bombing Iran for the last few weeks because they weren't able to get there. So there's a lot of different routes that could happen here. But we know that Trump's before the blockade announcement, the Israeli and Lebanese officials were set to meet in Washington, D.C. this week for ceasefire talks. So what impact could that outcome have on negotiations with Iran?
Well, we heard very clearly that there's a certain number of points that the U.S. has, a certain number of points that Iran has. The president said that they met on many of them. And they have to prioritize the most important. That's what you're using the word negotiation. That's exactly what that means. Is we're going to negotiate. You're going to get something. I'm going to get something. But the president has prioritized, and we heard him say that many times. The nuclear issue is the priority. So if Iran comes to the table on that issue, then there's some negotiation that can happen on the other points, and the president will, order his team to make those decisions if we get to that, and they will get to that. They have to get to that.
Are there any concessions that the U.S. is going to have to make? Because they're saying Iran isn't coming to our terms, but as you said, too, it's a negotiation. So what can they negotiate on? What concessions do you see being made?
The U.S. is going to have to let Iran, they're going to have their defense industry that's going to be rebuilt. They're going to have, their military is going to reconstitute in some way. They're going to be able to go out and purchase new airplanes and boats. And that, you could expect that to happen, but that could take years. So the most important issue right now is that the shooting stops, the nuclear issue is resolved, and the Strait of Hormuz is reopened, and everything gets back to somewhat normal. And those are the priorities, I think.
Well, thank you for your time today. We'll have to leave it there. Former U.S. Navy commander and former FBI special agent Rich Kolko, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, this blockade expected to complicate things for travelers even further. Airlines were already weighing flight cancellations